Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Myth became nightmare when Storybook humans shattered galactic defenses. The great chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the 7 representatives took their seats. Massive crystalline structures hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow lights across the polished stone floor. For over 3,000 years, these 7 species had ruled the known universe together, bringing peace and order to hundreds of worlds. "We will now hear the report from the Defense Division," announced Head Counselor Drays, his blue scales shimmering under the lights. Commander Gray stepped forward, her tall, slender frame moving with the natural grace of the Voss species. Unlike the other military officers, who preferred elaborate uniforms, she wore a simple black suit with just a small silver insignia marking her rank. "Thank you, counselors," she said, her voice clear and steady. 3 days ago, our border sensors detected unusual energy signatures near the outer rim. These readings do not match any known species technology in our database. Counselor Mech, a round-bodied creature covered in fine white fur, leaned forward. "Could it be the drift pirates? They sometimes modify their engines in strange ways." "No," Gray replied. "The energy pattern is completely new to us. It appears to be a form of propulsion we have never encountered before." A murmur spread through the chamber. In thousands of years of space exploration, it was rare to find truly new technology. From the back of the room, an old voice called out, "I request permission to speak." All heads turned to see Elder Toll, one of the oldest scholars in the council archives. His skin was pale gray, and his forearms trembled slightly as he made his way to the center of the floor. Although not officially part of the council, his kind, the archivist species, were respected for their long lives and perfect memories. "Elder Toll, this is a closed security meeting," said Counselor Drays with a frown. "I would not interrupt if it were not important," Toll insisted. "I believe I know what Commander Gray has discovered." The council members exchanged glances, then nodded for him to continue. Elder Toll pulled a small device from his robe and activated it. A 3-dimensional image appeared in the air, a series of wave patterns that matched the ones Commander Gray had just shown. "These energy signatures," Toll said, his voice quavering with age, "match exactly the descriptions in the ancient warning texts." Counselor Pax, a crystalline being who rarely spoke, emitted a sound like tinkling glass, their version of laughter. "The warning texts? Those are bedtime stories for younglings. They are historical records." Toll corrected firmly, "Records of the species that almost destroyed the early council 12 generations ago, the humans." The chamber erupted in laughter. Even Commander Gray couldn't hide a small smile. "Humans aren't real," said Counselor Mech kindly, as if explaining something to a child. "They're myths created to teach young ones about the dangers of violence and unchecked aggression." Elder Toll shook his head stubbornly. "The stories say humans were small creatures from a distant planet called Earth. They looked harmless but possessed minds that constantly created new weapons. They waged war even among themselves, and when they reached the stars, they fought any species they encountered. They could eat anything, breathe fire, and lived inside volcanoes. With all respect for your knowledge, these are clearly fictional beings created as cautionary tales," mocked Counselor Drays. Toll pointed a trembling finger at the energy patterns. "Then explain this. The warning texts describe exactly these signatures as the mark of human ships." Commander Gray stepped forward again. "While I respect Elder Toll's knowledge, we cannot base military decisions on ancient myths. I recommend sending a scout ship to investigate these signatures properly." "Agreed," said Drays, ending the debate. "Send your best scout team, Commander, but there's no need to raise alarms over old stories." As the meeting adjourned, Elder Toll approached Commander Gray privately. "You think I'm a fool," he said quietly. Gray hesitated, then replied honestly, "I think you've spent too many years reading old texts, Elder. There's no evidence humans ever existed. The oldest members of my species have passed down memories of the human war, Toll insisted. They were real and dangerous not because they were stronger or smarter than other species, but because they never, ever gave up. Gray patted his shoulder gently. I'll keep an open mind during our investigation. 3 days later, Commander Gray stood in the communications center of Military Base 6, staring at the screen in disbelief. The scout ship she had sent to investigate the energy signatures had gone silent after sending one final message. Something is coming through the darkness, massive ships, thousands of them. Reports began flooding in from the outer colonies. The farming world of Juno had gone silent, the mining station at Cygnus was destroyed, the peaceful settlement on Vega managed to send one final distress call before all communication ceased. Show me the Vega transmission again, Gray ordered, her hands gripping the console tightly. The screen flickered, revealing a terrified station manager. Behind him, explosions rocked the facility. They came out of nowhere, he shouted over the alarms. Weapons like nothing we've ever seen, they're cutting through our shields like they're not even there. Did you see the attackers? Gray asked. As if in answer, the station manager turned, eyes widening in terror. They're inside. The transmission cut to static. Gray looked up to find Elder Toll standing in the doorway of the command center. The old archivist's eyes were sad. It started, he said simply. Just as the warning text said it would, first the outer colonies, then inward. And we don't know it's your humans. Gray's voice lacked conviction. But who else? What other unknown species would attack with technology we've never seen before? Before she could answer, an officer rushed in. Commander, we've recovered Driss from one of the attacking ships damaged near Vega. Show me, Gray ordered. The officer led them to a sealed laboratory where scientists examined twisted metal pieces and strange components. The materials gleamed with an unfamiliar luster, unlike anything Gray had ever seen. One scientist, an Arvin named Dr. Kell, approached holding a small device. We recovered this from the wreckage. It appears to be a recording unit. He activated it, projecting a hologram of a ship's interior. Bipedal creatures with 2 arms, 2 legs, and hair on their heads moved between control panels and stations. Elder Toll pointed with trembling hand. Humans, he whispered, just as the ancient texts described. Gray stared at the recording, a chill running through her body. We need to call the council immediately. These myths were real, humans aren't stories. They're real, and they've returned. She turned to leave. The lights flickered, and a distant boom shook the floor beneath them. They're here, whispered Elder Toll. The human war has begun again. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. We need to understand what he was talking about, Gray said finally. Could there be any truth to this claim that we tried to wipe them out? All eyes turned to Elder Toll. He looked troubled. The warning texts mention a conflict but not genocide. I must dig deeper into records older than those I've consulted. Do it, ordered Drays. Meanwhile, prepare our defenses. 3 days later, Gray stood in a laboratory on Base 6, watching scientists examine a large piece of recovered human technology. It appeared to be a weapon, sleek, black, and somehow menacing, even damaged and inactive. Dr. Kell, whose species was known for technical brilliance, examined it with rapid forehand movements. His compound eyes blinked in patterns of deep concentration. It's incredible, he admitted. The way they harness quantum fields is unlike anything I've seen. Our best weapons use 5th-generation particle acceleration, this is at least 5 generations beyond that. Can we replicate it? Gray asked. His eye links showed amusement. Not without 100 years of research, maybe more. Gray's comm device beeped. It was Elder Toll. I found something, he said. Come to the Deep Archives immediately. The Deep Archives, beneath the council building in rarely visited chambers, were dim and filled with ancient scrolls and data crystals. Toll sat surrounded by texts so old they needed special readers. His face was ashen. The truth, he whispered, pushing forward an ancient scroll. A record from the Keelar, one of the original council species. They were the dominant power 12 generations ago. They've been extinct for centuries, Gray said. Yes, Toll continued, and now you'll see why. He pointed to the scroll. According to the record, the Keelar encountered humans 900 years ago, just as they began exploring beyond their solar system with primitive but rapidly advancing technology. What happened? Gray asked, though she felt she knew the answer. The Keelar deemed humans dangerous, not for their current abilities, but for their potential. They developed faster than any species the Keelar had met. Convinced of the threat, the Keelar launched a preemptive strike on Earth and its colonies, deploying planet-killer weapons. Reports claimed complete success. Gray felt cold. How did humans survive? Toll nodded slowly. They did survive and never forgot. They've spent centuries rebuilding, advancing, and planning their return. A distant alarm sounded. Gray's device lit up with urgent messages. What is it? Toll asked. A massive human fleet has appeared in the Centauri system, Gray said, rising. They've overwhelmed our defenses there. Toll's eyes widened. That's only 2 jumps from Council home worlds. They're coming for the heart of the Council, Gray said, looking at the scrolls. I'm not sure I can blame them. Commander Gray watched a holographic display with growing despair. The human fleet's sleek, dark vessels, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, moved methodically through Council space with terrifying efficiency. They're targeting specific systems, she observed. Military bases, shipyards, communication hubs, they know exactly where to hit us. Drays nodded grimly. The chamber, once calm, had become a war room. Real-time battle data filled displays, and officers rushed in and out. The other 6 counselors appeared via flickering holograms, disrupted by human attacks. How do they know our defenses so well? Asked Counselor Mech, for now streaked Gray. It's as if they've studied us for years, said Elder Toll. According to the Keelar records, humans are patient and thorough planners. Dr. Kell entered carrying a small device, exhausted but excited. I've accessed more data from the recovered technology. You need to see this. He placed the device on the table. A new hologram appeared, a star map dotted with hundreds of tiny green points. Observation posts, Dr. Kell explained. Thousands, hidden throughout Council space, some for centuries. They've been watching us, recording communications, studying our technology, mapping defenses. A stunned silence fell. They were there all along, Drays whispered. There's more, Dr. Kell continued. The hologram shifted to show a vast structure hidden in an asteroid field. We believe this is their main base of operations, he said. A massive space station in the Void region. The Void? Counselor Pax's crystalline form vibrated. Radiation there is lethal to all known species. Not to humans, Dr. Kell said. They're remarkably radiation resistant. They've been hiding in the one place we never thought to look. Gray studied the image. Can we strike their base? Eliminate their command center so our weapons never reach it? Dr. Kell shook his head. Radiation in the Void would disable our ships long before they got close. A young officer burst in. Commander, we've captured a human scout ship near Proxima Station. 3 crew members are alive. The holding cell, designed for dangerous prisoners with adjustable energy fields, held 2 males and 1 female human. Outside, Gray, Dr. Kell, and a security team watched them calmly observing their captors. Have they spoken? Gray asked. Nothing, the chief replied. They haven't even asked for food or water. Gray approached the cell. I am Commander Gray of the Galactic Defense Force. Why has your species attacked us? The female human stepped forward. Pale skin, hair of fire. I am Lieutenant Wren. We haven't attacked you, We've reclaimed what was ours. You destroyed peaceful colonies, killed innocents who knew nothing of conflict between our species, just as the Keelar did to us. Dr. Kell stepped closer. The records say that attack was 900 years ago. How did your species remember and survive? Ren smiled. Your council believed humans were myths for a reason. We're good at surviving impossible odds, it's what we do best. Elder Toll entered with his walking stick. The Keelar claimed Earth was rendered uninhabitable, yet you survived. How? The three humans exchanged looks. Ren spoke. We had small colonies on Mars, Jupiter's moons, Saturn's moons, and a few deep space vessels exploring nearby stars. Those survivors hid for centuries. Gray asked, at first. At first, we just survived, Ren said. We built hidden bases in asteroids, radiation belts beyond your sensors. We scavenged tech, developed new devices in secret, watched, learned, and plotted revenge. Toll added softly, wouldn't you? They tried to wipe us out because they feared our potential. One male human spoke, voice deep with anger. They feared we'd never give up. Gray pressed on, what do humans want now? Genocide? Ren shook her head. Admiral Stone will explain. We don't operate like the Keelar. We could have annihilated your worlds in a surprise attack. Instead, we targeted military installations and gave civilians time to evacuate. Gray admitted this was true. Civilian casualties had remained low despite overwhelming human advantage. How did you advance so quickly? Dr. Kell asked eagerly. Your tech is centuries ahead. Ren smiled. Necessity and isolation. Fighting for survival with limited resources forces innovation. We studied you while building our own in different directions. Gray summarized, while we grew complacent, you evolved. Stone stood. Out of necessity. Every human child was raised to ensure our survival and return. We observed your technology while developing ours. Toll's ancient eyes showed sadness. And now you've returned for revenge. Stone corrected, justice. If we wanted revenge, your home worlds would already be ash. Instead, we targeted military outposts, allowed evacuations, took prisoners. What do you want? Draze asked, what are your terms? Stone sat. 3 things, acknowledgement, a formal council apology for Keelar crimes, reparations, cession of the Sol system and 6-star systems to the Human Federation, and equal seat at the council table. The terms, reasonable despite human advantage, stunned the council. These terms seem acceptable, Draze said. I'll confer with the full council. He was cut off as a human officer whispered urgently to Stone. The admiral's face darkened. A faction of your council attacked our main base in the Void region, Stone said. Your ships are deploying a new weapon against civilians. Gray cried, that wasn't authorized. Let us contact them. Stone nodded. Lieutenant Ren will guide you. But hurry, my fleet is moving to intercept. The flagship's war room hummed. Displays showed battle data near the Void region. Gray watched in horror as council ships fired a destabilizing wave to collapse human shields, exposing civilians to lethal radiation. Beside her, Draze's scales turned gray. Toll looked resigned. Draze spoke into the comm, Counselor Pax, stand down immediately. We are negotiating peace. Pax sneered on screen, peace. We have one chance to eliminate the threat, why wait? Gray stood, they're civilians, families, children. Pax replied, the texts were right. Humans are too dangerous to exist. Stone and Ren watched in fury as the destabilizer prepared to fire. Just before impact, the screen went white and returned, no weapon, no damage to council ships. What happened? Pax demanded. A human officer answered, target neutralized, precision jump point removal. No damage. Gray stared. The humans had removed only the weapon from space. Stone said calmly, "That was your only warning. Withdraw your ships from the void region in 60 seconds, or we respond." Pax sneered, "You're bluffing." Stone sighed, "I hope to avoid further bloodshed." Ren ordered, "Initiate Defense Protocol 6. Moments later, all of Pax's ships went dark, engines offline, power systems dead. "What did you do?" Pax's voice trembled. Stone explained, "A targeted EMP that affects Council tech only. Life support continues, but nothing else works for 24 hours. This conflict will be resolved within that time." He turned to Draze, "Peace or war?" "Peace," Draze declared. "The full council accepts your terms. I give you my word." 3 weeks later, the newly renovated council chamber, now with 8 seats, was packed with representatives. "Today marks a new chapter," Draze began. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, we acknowledge the Keeler's crimes against humanity and commit to a better future." He turned to Stone. "As agreed, the Sol System and 6 star systems are sovereign human Federation territory. Today, we welcome humanity as the 8th Council member." Applause filled the chamber as Stone took his seat, eyes shining with satisfaction. "For centuries, we hid in the shadows, our existence reduced to children's stories," Stone addressed the assembly. "We could have waged total war, but instead chose justice and a new beginning." Lieutenant Wren stepped forward, handing Stone a small container. He opened it carefully. "As a gesture of good faith, we offer to share medical advances, shield upgrades, and cleaner energy sources, not weapons. Trust must be earned on both sides." Later, Gray walked with Wren through the council gardens. "What will you do now?" Gray asked. Wren smiled, "I'm your new liaison officer. Someone must bridge our peoples, there's still much mistrust to overcome." Gray nodded. "Of course." They paused overlooking the capital, where humans mingled freely among other species. Elder Toll, studying his research, said quietly, "The Keelar attacked not just out of fear of potential, but because they discovered Earth's history. Only humans developed nuclear weapons, then chose not to destroy themselves." Wren raised an eyebrow. "Violence and restraint," Gray explained. "The Keelar couldn't fathom a species that could walk to the brink and then step back." Wren laughed softly. "And that is a truth upon which we can build."